Live from Tampa Bay, Channel 8 presents the 1985 Gasparilla Distance Classic. Brought to you in part by Brooks Shoes, proud to be a gold medal sponsor of today's race. GTE, General Telephone of Florida. Royal Buick, official car dealer of the Gasparilla Distance Classic. Bahamas. It's better in the Bahamas, where you never run out of things to do, unless you want to.
Good morning, everyone. Let's take a look at downtown Tampa as the sun comes up, and a lot of people are going to be very happy to see that sun this morning. It is a little bit on the cool side. Let's call it brisk, invigorating. The runners in a few moments will be very warm as they set out on the Bayshore course for this, one of the premier world-class events around the country. And for runners, we have a top field on hand. Hi, I'm Dick Crippen along with Phil Stewart. We're going to have Gail Sarens out in the truck with a very special guest we'll introduce in just a few moments. Phil, I say a top world-class field of runners, and I think I'm accurate.
That's correct, Dick. Once again, they've done it again. They've attracted some of the best runners in the world to run this flat, fast course through the streets of Tampa, and the competition will be very hot shortly.
Okay, and as we get ready to go, let's introduce you to our team that'll be out on the truck on the course with us on Bayshore Boulevard today. Gail Sarens out at the start line.
That's right, Dick, and I'm joined by John Wellarding. We'll be down on the back of the truck, bringing you the front of the pack all day. And as you said, it should be a very exciting race. And with these weather conditions, a very fast race. Cool, a little breezy today, John.
Yeah, it is. You know, that's going to be the big question is how the wind is blowing and how strong it is. It was very strong this morning, but it looks like it's died down a little bit. And I think it's going to be at the runner's back as they're going out, but they're going to have to fight it coming back in. So it could mix up the splits a little bit, so we'll see what happens.
That's what happened 2 years ago when we had a world record here. Do you expect to see records fall today?
Well, it would be nice. You know, the weather is real cool, which is really going to help the runners. But the question is the wind too strong? And it looks like it's died down, so we may see a record.
Well, we're going to give you a bird's-eye perspective of what's going on. We'll be bringing you the front of the pack all morning long as we take you down Bayshore and back into downtown Tampa. But now, let's go to Tony Edwards.
Thank you, Gail. Gail, I'll be at the finish line, and I'll have the men's champion and runner-up. We'll talk to the wheelchair champion, who'll probably be George Murray at Tampa for the 8th straight year. And we'll talk to some of the local finishers. There's a young man I want you to keep your eye on, Roger Letchford of Clearwater Countryside High School. He's going for a national record for a 16-year-old. He's trying to break 48:45. Now, in the 7-year-old Gasparilla Distance Classic, we have never had back-to-back champions in the 15K. And odds are against a repeat winner this year.
Mike McLeod of Great Britain is the man on the bullseye. He's the defending Gasparilla Distance Classic champion and the top seed for this year's 15K race.
Really, I've got to try and keep that calm, run a sensible race and try and come across the finishing line first.
But McLeod will have his hands full. This is the strongest field in the 8-year running of the Gasparilla Distance Classic, including 3 other former champions.
Last year, everything went perfect, no problems whatsoever. This year, I might have problems. One is I'm the defending champion, and that puts a lot of pressure on.
Some of that pressure will come from Kenya Simeon Keegan. Keegan is seated only 14th for the 1985 15K, but he defeated McLeod by 1 second in last week's Miami 10K.
It was very hard, so I hung in with the leaders up to 200 meters, and then I kicked him.
But Keegan needs hot weather to strut his stuff, so he's not ready to start counting the $7,000 first prize money just yet.
I don't know this time, because maybe this time it's going to be very strong. So I'll also be very strong.
Also among this star-studded field is 1982 Gasparilla champ Mike Mushogi. The Kenyan is the world record holder for 15K, and he's seated number 2 for the Gasparilla behind McLeod.
There'll probably be a big group throughout the race. It'll take a brave person to try and break the group up. Whoever does try that, I think he'll find the group will latch onto him and hang on. So really, you might have a cat and mouse effort from start to finish.
What they were having on the air.
Well, you can tell it's a little chilly out here. I know I'm cold, so let's go to Bob Barron at the race turning point and see what the race weather is going to be all about.
Well, we've got our handy sling cyclometer here. Check out the exact temperature on the course. At 8 o'clock, it was 45 degrees. It's up to 46 degrees at this point. I don't think temperatures are going to be so much of a factor. As you mentioned, the winds. Wind chill factor now is at about 40 degrees. Most winds are officially northeast at 7. but it sure feels a lot gustier than that, and I think that may be a little bit of a factor. However, it's very close to perfect running conditions, and temperatures by the end of the race will be moving up to around 50 degrees. So it promises to be terrific for this race and even better for the 11 o'clock run.
Well, we're getting close to the starting time for this, the 8th annual Gasparilla Distance Classic, coming to you live on Channel 8. We'll be back with the start in a moment.
You'll find a variety of quality True Test paints to meet your needs and budget during President's Day paint values at True Value hardware stores. When you need a high-hiding flat wall paint at an economical price, choose True Test Special Flat Latex Wall Paint, only $5 a gallon. Or if you prefer a semi-gloss finish, invest in True Test Special Latex Semi-Gloss Enamel, budget price at just $9 a gallon at participating True Value hardware stores and home centers.
When you're in the mood for a haircut, ever worry about the mood your stylist might be in? Why surrender to somebody else's mood? At First Choice Haircutters, it's what you want that counts. 13 convenient locations. Wendy Sly, winner of the 1983 Gasparilla Distance Classic, Olympic silver medalist, and member of the Brooks Racing Team.
Gasparilla is a tradition of competitive excellence, perfect conditions, and of course, record-breaking times. Some call it the best race in the world. It's a great course, makes you want to give it everything you've got. So you better be ready, because you're up against the top-ranked runners in the world, and one thing is certain, we're all here to break the record.
Brooks, high performance from the ground up. The Gasparilla Distance Classic is recognized in running circles as one of this country's finest 10K races. Royal Buick is proud to be the official car dealer by providing courtesy cars for many world-class runners that will be here. On Monday, these cars will be returned and put on sale to the general public. All carry full new car warranty, and most have less than 500 miles. Don't miss this chance to own an 85 Buick for hundreds less. This is a great time to buy an 85 Royal Buick. Royal Buick, across from the stadium, Tampa. The Gasparilla Distance Classic is brought to you in part by your neighborhood True Value hardware store and by First Choice Haircutters with 13 convenient locations.
Thousands of runners, and there you see some of them as they assemble on Ashley Street. We are just a little bit away from Ashley Street on the backside of Curtis Dixon Convention Center where the finish will be. Let's talk about the women's field. Out on the start line, Gail Sarins.
Yeah, hi. We are on the start line, and the women's field really should be pretty terrific. In fact, you know, a world record was set here last year with Greta. A race, though, that really wasn't the expected race last year between she and Wendy. Wendy dropped off, but once again, I suppose we have to expect those two to be our top ladies anyway.
It seems that way, Gail. It's always been the two of them, and Greta's very, very strong. So we'll see what happens today.
Yeah, and if there's a dark horse in this field, is there anyone that you could predict? Perhaps Lynn Williams, who beat Greta last week?
Yes, perhaps. She beat her last week by 11 seconds, but Greta's very strong again, so the 15K may be a little better for Greta.
It's hard to imagine under these perfect, nearly perfect conditions that Greta won't have an advantage in this race.
I think she will have an advantage. We'll have to wait and see, but the weather is very good today.
So we could look for just about anybody, unexpected winners, but you can always expect a battle between Greta Weitz and Wendy Sly. Dick, back to you.
We're just moments away now from the start of another part of the Gasparilla Distance Classic, the wheelchair start. They start approximately 5 minutes ahead of the rest of the running field, and they will finish a little bit ahead of them also. George Murray, of course, a very heavy favorite as he goes into this one with what we call high-tech chair. Phil, he has got this thing redesigned. His original chair was upwards of 55 pounds when he won the race the first time 7 years ago. And here come the wheelchair runners right now, and I'm going to guess that George Murray is going to get a very good start because his chair this year is just 15 pounds.
That's right, Dick, and also very aerodynamically designed, so they'll be out there going upwards towards 15 miles an hour on the course.
Let's take a look at the wheelchairs as they come by us right now, determined athletes as they set out on a very long jaunt down Bayshore Boulevard, running exactly the same 15K course. Everybody else will be running out there, and I think a lot of people don't allow for that. They don't understand it as exactly the same race for them.
And these wheelchair athletes consider themselves just that, top athletes. They are about 20 of them entered in today's race, and some of the best wheelchair racers from around the country. They consider this just as highly a competitive sporting event as the runners do.
Let's take a look at some of the statistics on George Murray. He's the man we've been talking about and a strong local favorite. He is, of course, from St. Petersburg, Florida, 37 years of age.
Right, and George has run a marathon he's a 7-time Gasparilla champion. He has run a marathon in an hour and 38 minutes. He also holds the 15K record, world record set in El Paso, and he said he wants to win this race.
This is really a special appearance for George in this race. He likes this one best of all because it is hometown, and he gets to see that he lived in Tampa for many, many years. And at this particular point, let's talk about some course records that we're going to be referring to, I'm sure, very, very often through the day today, because it seems like it would be just about a perfect day.
Well, that's right. There'll be runners of every age going after course records here.
This is the map of the course that we'll be following throughout the day. As you can see, it goes out on the Bayshore Boulevard across the Platte Street Bridge, which we like to call the Heartbreak Hill of Gasparilla. Not a very big hill,
it's a mini Heartbreak Hill.
That's right. At least it's an incline. And, of course, once they go off the Platte Street Bridge, they will then go left out onto Bayshore. They will take it past Bay to Bay. They turn around down at Asbury, and then they will come back on the other side, as you see it lit up there. They will come back across the Platte Street Bridge, and this time finish behind instead of in front of where they start. They will finish behind the Curtis Hickson Convention Center. As we said, it's a little bit chilly out here, which may possibly encourage some to run just a little bit harder, because we have had some very warm races in the past.
That's right, and they also will have the wind at their backs on the outgoing portion of the course, so I suspect we may see some very fast splits in the early time. Then once they make that turnaround, start the long trek back to Tampa, they will soon find out if they've gone out a little bit too fast at the start.
We should inform you also that Joseph Zhao is out of the race, as is Greg Meyer and Lisa Martin, all of them down with the flu, unfortunately. We hope that they're at least watching here on Channel 8 with us this morning. Let's talk about some of the lead runners and what they're going to be doing out here today. We have some of those statistics that we'll put up on the screen for you, and these particular runners are ones to watch. Needless to say, Mike McLeod is going to be the top seed in the race. He is 33 years old. He is from Wide Open, England.
That's right, and Mike, of course, is the Gasparilla winner from last year, and he out-sprinted 6 other people. He also won the silver medal at 10K. As well as the race last year, and it was a very exciting finish, and he proved the strongest, pulled ahead with in the last 200 yards to take the title here by 2 seconds.
All right, and our second seed in the race would be Michael Mazzocchi out of El Paso, Texas now. He is 28 years of age.
And Mike Mazzocchi has been the top-ranked road racer in the world. He won the bronze medal in the 10,000 meters in L.A., and of course he finished only 2 seconds back in last year's race.
And a bit of a disappointment that the third seed, Joseph, now will not be involved in it, so we'll jump down to number 14, Simeon Keegan, Eldoret, Kenya, 22 years of age, and one to watch for sure.
That's right. He was the Orange Bowl 10K champion last year. Keegan is very young. He's compiled world-class times at every distance from 10K through the marathon. I think he's real untested. I think he's the man to look for here today.
And what will he be facing? Take a look as we go out. Well, we're going to continue here with Greta Vates. We were just about ready for the start of this race. Greta, of course, has got to be the odds-on favorite going into this race for the women, 31 years of age, from Oslo, Norway. We're going to go to our start line right now and take a look at the tremendous mass of people. We have a helicopter, of course, high atop the course that'll be with us all through the running of this particular race. The masses are assembled out in front of Curtis Hickson Convention Center out on Ashley Street. They are now prepared. The dreams, the fingers are crossed. Everything is in readiness for it. There you see the site now as the sun has come up in downtown Tampa. The runners are gathering. You can just barely make them out in front of Curtis Hickson Convention Center. They will, of course, come down through underneath the Crosstown Expressway area, and they will head across the Platte Street Bridge, which you see in the forefront of your picture there. They will make that left-hand turn, and it is left on your picture, and then head on down Bayshore Boulevard. So it should be a very fine start. There are the people as they get ready. You can see the police cars already have the lights on now as they go down and run ahead of the runners to make sure that the course is cleared. I can't even imagine what's going through the minds of many of these people who really are just running it for the fun and for the first time and just want to say that they've been in a Gasparilla event.
This is a really exciting moment. All those hours and miles of training are now behind them. This is the big day that they've been waiting for. They're lining up. The anticipation is very, very high.
We watch down there now as many of the favorites assemble on the front line, and we might explain a little bit about how that is set up, because people say, wait a minute, how do these guys get up there all the time? And there are thousands upon thousands of runners, but Phil, in reality, the advantage, I suppose, if you can say the front row position is an advantage, usually does go to the world-class runners with reason.
Well, that's right, because these runners are going to be going out at about under 4 minutes and 30 seconds per mile pace, so they need a little running room to get clear. It's very important that the slower runners get in back so that there's a safe and orderly start. But these world-class runners will run very quick in the opening moment.
All right, let's go down to the start line right now, and the executive director for the race, Jeanette Park.
Okay, I'm going to count from 5. The word will be go. Everybody ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
Well, we had some early anticipation there, but I don't think they'll be penalized for it. Everybody was kind of leaning forward in that big crowd behind you. I don't blame those front runners for wanting to move out of there extra fast, but it looks like a clean start, Phil. As they head down Ashley Street now, we can see from our vantage point here as the trucks go past, and the runners now coming up behind them. Excitement is in the air, no question about it. Lots of fans have gathered down on the sideline to cheer their favorite runners on.
That's right. It really looks like a slow human explosion out there. All the runners were packed tightly on the line, and now they're gradually expanding, filling all the roadway at the start of the race. Again, the world-class runners in front sprinting to make sure they get away from all 5,000 of the people in back of them. The other runners getting going, and I'm sure it feels good to finally get in motion and begin to generate some heat as they head out towards Bayshore.
Look closely at that crowd. See if you recognize anybody. A lot of neighbors are out there running this morning. A rather cool, brisk morning for them that I think will play to the advantage of perhaps the novice runners, who will be able to keep cool a little bit longer on the course. Because really, when you talk about 15K and 10Ks and all this, a lot of people don't realize that's a very far distance, 9.3 miles on this particular run.
That's right, and of course, later on they do have the 5K, which is for many people a first step, and I imagine a lot of the people who ran the 5K last year have trained hard all year, and this year are making their way out on the first 15K. I still see a stream of people heading down the street here. It really is a very, very exciting moment.
Moments ago, nothing but mass confusion on Ashley Street. People said, wait a minute, how can they possibly organize all this? But within moments of the start, there they were, all standing ready, waiting, dreams, hopes. We said fingers crossed, and I'm sure feet kind of moving around a little bit as they jogged in place. And we might say also that a lot of the lead runners that you'll be seeing coming up behind the timing truck there, those runners have already put a couple miles in today.
That's right. Many of them were down here early this morning, did a couple miles to loosen up and get the blood circulating. They wanted to be very ready and warmed up and ready to run the second that gun went off. And of course, there they are now running out, and we expect to see a very, very large pack through the first couple of miles. It'd be hard to pick any particular runners out right at the moment, but there will be a large pack of, I would say, even as many as 50 or 60 runners as they head out towards the Platte Street Bridge.
And that's where they're heading to right now, too, Phil. As they go down there, they will be hitting the Platte Street Bridge in just a matter of moments. This is kind of a tough time for a lot of the amateur runners because they have not been in an event with world-class runners before. Their temptation is to hang up there with them, to maybe run a little bit over their heads. And I imagine even in the case of the world-class runners, their thoughts are about those runners that might be coming up behind them and some unknown coming up there. We had the case down in the Orange Bowl last week. Simeon certainly was not unknown, but he was an unexpected man to come charging out of that pack there. And I imagine that can throw off the pace a little bit if you're not concentrating.
Well, that's right. You've got the adrenaline flowing in the early going, and there certainly is a temptation to go out too fast. And again, there will be 50 runners probably right together by the time they reach the mile mark, but of course at the end 49 of them will have dropped away.
Dick Crippen along with Phil Stewart, who is the associate editor of Running Times, as we look out on the course now, out on Bayshore Boulevard as the runners are starting to filter out there. Gail Serens will be out on the truck along with John Welderding, and they will be bringing us live reports from the course, and we'll be looking very closely at the leaders. We are going to be trying to pay attention to the women racers. The women are back in the pack a little bit once the race breaks open, and so we have a rather special system of a bike rider who's going to be right ahead of them there, and we're going to try to pick them out as we go down there, because the women's race really is perhaps the premier of this particular one, I think, especially with Zal and Greg Meyer out of the men's race.
Well, that's right. Greta Waits, of course, has been the premier women's distance runner for the past 7 years, but really now the rest of the world is catching up with her. And of course, Wendy Sly upset her here 2 years ago, but then last week in Miami, Lynn Williams upset Greta at 10K. So it really could be a three-woman race.
Kind of something special for Wendy Sly, because she went out and won a medal in the Olympics, and she says that she wants to prove that she's still active in running and still very good at running, and so she wants to come back, and if she could win this one, it would be a good start to a whole new thing for her.
Oh, I know she'd really like to get a victory here, and now these runners must have gone through the 1 mile mark.
It appears they have, as they now are going under the approach to Davis Island out on Bayshore Boulevard. And in just a few moments, we'll be switching live out onto the race course to Gail Serens and John Welderding, and they will be reporting on the split times for us as they are taking the accurate times out there and calculating. Mel Bass also aboard that truck to enlighten us as to how the runners are doing as compared to last year and such. As a matter of fact, it's interesting because we really have had a little bit of each. We had last year where we had that pack of 7 coming across the bridge at the final finish, and just all of a sudden McLeod bursting out of there. The year before, Rod Costello had the thing so wrapped up that about 1.5 miles in, we were already saying he looks like the winner.
It's really tough to tell at what moment the race will break itself open. The traditional format is to have a pack of runners running together, and then maybe 2/3 of the way through the race you start surging, but anything could happen out there.
All right, let's go out onto the course. Gail Serens and John Welderding, and let's get the look from there.
All right, Dick, yeah, we are on the back of the truck. You see the lead pace going. Really, you can't say it's anybody's race at this point. At the 1 mile mark, a 4:40 mile. They're going out very slow. We thought the wind would be at their back coming out this way, but certainly this time is not an indication of it. John, a little surprised with this time?
Very surprising, Gail. 4:40 is slow considering the conditions and the field. Right now we can see number 13, Adrian Leak, and Jose Gomez, number 22. And they look quite comfortable. In fact, they don't look like they're working very hard. You know, it may be that they do have a wind, it may be a crosswind, but it seems to be that they have the wind at their back right now. So 4:40 was very surprising for that first mile.
All right, Dick, a very interesting strategy here on the first mile. We send it back to you.
And once again, proving the point to us also of not picking a winner in this race too early, because already we have Jose Gomez, number 22, as you see him on your screen out there, sort of leading the pack. Adrian Leak right behind him, number 13. So right off the bat, we have 2 runners who would not be considered the favorites in these races, setting the early pace, but of course, that is the early pace.
That's right, and Adrian Leak really does like to set the pace. He has been out in front. Well, when Rod DiCastello won here 2 years ago, he was the only runner to go with Rod DiCastello in the Peachtree Road Race in Atlanta. He set the pace. He's a guy who's well known for his front-running tactics.
Well, as the top of the pack begins to pull away, let's hear from defending champion Mike McLeod on how the favorites begin their race strategy.
If it's fairly hot, everyone will be quite cagey. Nobody will be wanting to take the lead. So really, you'll probably have a big pack then. If it's a cool day, you might get someone taking it out and trying to break everyone, and then you've got a race on your hands.
And a race on their hands they have right now. You can also notice number 32 has moved up in there, Marcus Luis Barreto, and he is also one of the runners who would not be considered a favorite, but in the early going they set the pace out there. And how important is it? Because needless to say, the pace for world-class runners, I would imagine at this point, would be pretty similar, and they wouldn't really worry too much about who's out in front. The pace would be pretty much the same.
That's right. There's a lot of collective pace setting going on out here. Right now, the runners are just trying to find their rhythm. They're trying to get established. They're looking around to see who's there, but it really is a group effort in these early miles. Well, I suspect it won't be until after the turnaround where the runners will really begin to start this surging process and testing each other.
A little bit of Barreto. Mark Kerp has also moved up in there, number 5.
Of course, Mark Kerp was one of the crowd of 6 who were sprinting towards the finish line last year. I might add, we actually have 4 of those 7 people back this year who made that very, very exciting finish last year. Marcos Barreto is also an interesting case. He's a very unknown quantity.
Let's go back out on the course to Gail Sarens and John Welleding. Gail?
All right, yes, as you were mentioning, we do have some people at the front of the pack that perhaps we would not have expected to be here, but then we would not have expected this race to start as slowly as it did. After a complete mile, we told you they ran a 4:40 first mile. They are just now approaching the 2-mile mark. As they go across it, we've got a time of... We're calculating this right now, a time after 2 miles of approximately
4:28.
4:28, a 4:28 second mile. So that's what we have calculating for that mile. The second mile is much faster than they went out on this race. Can you figure out what's going on here, John, the strategy?
Yeah, they have picked up the pace quite a bit. You can see how packed it is right now. Everybody's just kind of waiting. You can see kind of looking around a little bit. Mike McLeod just turned to his left there, and he's looking around. So it's kind of strategic right now. Leading the race still is Jose Gomez, but there's a pack probably of about 20 guys, and it's not a very fast race right now. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Tom Wysocki just moved up on the outside there, number 16, wearing the Brooks singlet. The other American, Mark Kerb, number 5. And it's just very jumbled right now. Everybody's together looking around, so someone's waiting to make a move.
That lead pack is growing, it seems. 9:08 now for 2 miles, the world record pace at 8:42, far off of that pace at this point. And as we told you earlier, they'll be running back against the wind, so they're going to have a tough time of it. We're going to take a break right now. We'll be back with more of the Gasparilla Distance Classic.
Neff, did you give our customers the lowest prices?
Yes, sir.
Bruce, are we offering our customers a wider selection than any dealer?
Yes, sir.
Adam, are we giving our customers outstanding service? Are you guaranteeing your work?
Yes, sir.
Good work, men. Harold, I think I'll make you a tire changer. At Tire Kingdom, we sell quality tires for less than anybody.
It's working, Tampa Bay. At Big John Norton Ford, we're selling more cars than ever before. We're selling so many new Ford cars and trucks that we're stockpiled with great used car trade-ins. Big John said move them, so we are. We're offering unheard of prices. How can we do it? Profit is no object. Our job is to sell cars now. Where else can you find 4% new car financing and unbelievable used car prices? Only at Big John Norton Ford, 6202 East Hillsborough Avenue, Tampa. Why? Because in Florida, Big John Norton is Ford.
If you're one of the many people who'll soon be leaving Florida for a while, why not sign up for General Telephone Seasonal Service? For a small monthly charge, your phones are turned off but not disconnected. While you're away, you keep your same number and directory listing. And when you return, there's no reconnect charge. Best of all, your phones will be back working the moment you walk in the door.
You should see what's going on at First Choice Hair Cutters. Now, you can get a perm, shampoo, cut, and style, all for one low inclusive price, depending on the length of your hair. Long, medium, or short. Show off the new you. At First Choice Hair Cutters. Beautiful hair. At a price that's beautiful, too.
We give you just what you want, so make your choice. First Choice Hair Cutters.
Channel 8's exclusive live coverage of the Gasparilla Distance Classic is brought to you in part by Tire Kingdom. Tire Kingdom sells quality tires for less than anybody. And by John Norton Ford. In Florida, Big John Norton is Ford.
And a very pleasant good morning to you as you look at some runners who got up a little bit earlier than you this morning. If you're watching us live here on Channel 8, these runners, of course, in the 8th annual Gasparilla Distance Classic. Dick Crippen along with Phil Stewart, the associate editor of Running Times, and already the fans have started to assemble at the finish line, which we are right by, and we're going to be concentrating on that finish because, again, it looks like it might be exciting. I thought we kept talking about how the pace was a little bit slower. I was kind of wondering under all of that, Phil, if maybe they're saving it because they remember last year when they needed that extra spurt at the end. So who knows? We've got a ways to go yet.
Well, that's right, Dick. It's obviously a highly tactical race going on out there. Looks to me like 15 or 20 people in the pack, and of course Simeon Keegan and Mike McLeod are right in the thick of things.
All right, let's get the 3-mile split. Gail and John out on the course.
All right, Dick, 4:23 is the time we have for that third mile, and 13:41 for 3 miles now. And as we say that, the pack is breaking up just a little bit, and what you're seeing is someone like Jose Gomez, number 22, who started out one of our early leaders, now dropping back in the pack a little bit. Marcos Luis Prado there, and Mike McLeod now coming to the forefront, along with Adrian Leak, who's been a leader all the way. You have number 38 there, Peter Danas. So we really have got some new leaders starting to emerge a little bit, and Gomez is he's got an early pace, but is not able to keep up with it, John.
Yeah, Gail, Gomez has dropped back quite a bit the last mile. Marcos Barita is taking the lead, and he's doing all the work right now. Look where McLeod is. He's just resting, basically just keying off of Burrito. And he looks very controlled. Adrian Leak, number 13, is still up there. We see coming up now Simeon Keegan, number 14, for the first time. And he's looking very, very easy. He's running very easy. So they're just basically, laying back, trying to save it till the end, and running very comfortably.
As Phil said at the top of our broadcast, Simeon Keegan is someone to take a look at, and certainly we are seeing him make his move now at about between the 3 and the 4 mile mark. So with that, we send it back to you.
Front looks extremely strong. He is not the leader at this point, but if you look at him in second place, second man in from the right side of the screen, there he is, number 1. He looks relaxed. He looks comfortable. He looks very confident about what's going on out there.
That's right, Dick, and it's interesting because last week in Miami, he played the role of the pace setter. He was always in the lead and wouldn't let anybody else pass him, and he came in second last week, and this week he said he wanted to try something different, so it looks like he's going to play the waiting game.
And we will continue to watch his development along with the other front runners in this, the 8th Annual Gasparilla Distance Classic, brought to you live on Channel 8. We'll be back in a moment.
Get cash and carried away for the day.
I saved $2.50 at the Doc Cotton with 3 coupons from Cash and Carry.
Get cash and carried away.
$2.50 off for a limited time with coupons from Cash and Carry.
Oh, get carried away at Busch Gardens.
So come in for your coupons and save at the Dark Continent.
Get carried away. Get cash and carried away.
If you're one of the many people who'll soon be leaving Florida for a while, why not sign up for General Telephone Seasonal Service? For a small monthly charge, your phones are turned off but not disconnected. While you're away, you keep your same number and directory listing. And when you return, there's no reconnect charge. Best of all, your phones will be back working the moment you walk in the door.
Get away. Get aboard the Bahamas Express.
Welcome to your Bahamas.
Hello.
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 Hi.
It's better on Bahamas Air because we don't just fly there, we live there. 3 days, 2 nights in Nassau from $159, including airfare. George Murray, 7-time winner of Gasparilla, 1978 Boston Marathon champ, and member of the Brooks Racing Team.
Sure feels good to be here at Gasparilla. Last I heard, it was 5 below in my hometown of Millinocket, Maine. Every year, though, we get warm weather here, so it's no surprise that you get to race with the world's best athletes. We come here for great weather, but we're here to break records, too. Sure is going to be a beautiful day.
Brooks, high performance from the ground up. Today's coverage of the Gasparilla Distance Classic is brought to you in part by Cash and Carry, your basic value store, and by GTE, General Telephone of Florida.
There you see the runners on a rather chilly, let's say invigorating morning here, Saturday morning in Tampa, Florida, as they head out on Bayshore Boulevard, number 32 out in the lead right at the moment is Marcus Luis Barreto. You were mentioning just a moment ago, Phil, that we had not heard much from Mike Masoki. We're going to go back out onto the course to Gail and John. Perhaps they have seen where Michael is. Gail?
We haven't seen him right now, but I tell you, we have passed the 4-mile mark. 4:32 mile. That is slower than the 4th mile that they have run that would have them at a world record pace. 17:37 is the world record pace. We're at 18:14, so a much slower race than we expected. We saw the runners spread out just a little bit, but as you say, Barreto is still the man in the lead. A few moments ago, we in fact saw him spreading a little distance between himself and Mike McLeod. Now McLeod at his heels. Adrian Leake still there, and Adrian running very easily, although he is about 6 runners back at this point. He seems to have really the most fluid motion.
Yeah, Marcus Barreto, I want to just say, he's a legitimate threat. He has run a 28:18 in the Vulcan run just recently, so he's a legitimate threat. Mike McLeod, number 1, running very easy, and Jose Gomez has moved back up. Simeon Keegan, number 14, is right in there. If we can identify some other runners there, that's Julian Goder,
yes,
number 6, who pushed this race last year midway through, so he may throw in a couple of surges. It's still, someone's waiting to make a move here. There's a lot of strategic waiting, and the pack has thinned out a little bit, but there's still like 15 guys, and Michael Musioki is in the back of that pack. He is fairly close, but he's dropped off maybe 10, 15 yards. Go ahead.
As we said, though, the pace is much slower than we expected, Dick. At the 4-mile mark, they are very well off a world record pace.
Well, I think, Phil, that might be indicative of some other things, too, because we heard about Masoki dropping back a little bit. At this point in the race, I would imagine the individual pacing is starting to take over. Now, instead of depending on other runners or rabbits, if you will, to set the pace, now the individual strategy is starting to come into play. And I would think at this point, leaders don't make too much difference. They're keeping an eye on them. They're certainly trying to stay with them. But there's still that spurt at the end, and they know that they're going to be hitting a little wind coming back.
Well, that's right. At this point, maintaining contact is all important, and you'll see the runners running in a big cluster there. They don't want to let anybody get too far away, but at the same time, they want to be conserving as much energy as they can. So there's a lot of collective judgment going on out there. And again, Barreto is a little bit of an unknown quantity, and he's not run the volume of world-class times as some of these other runners, and there may be runners in the pack who don't know exactly how to react to him because he just hasn't run as fast or in as many of these major races.
We're approaching the turnaround point on the Bayshore Boulevard course as they come back into the city. It will be interesting to see what happens. There they go through the turnaround now, and this, we always like to talk about this, Phil, because on the way back, although everybody would say, well, this is the easy part of the race, psychologically you would think, there it is, you see the finish and all that. The big buildings in Tampa can really psychologically throw things a little bit out of kilter because they don't seem to be getting bigger.
That's right. I talked with a couple of even these top runners, and they said it's just the same for them, that they start running back and they see those skyscrapers way back at the end, and they keep running, and they just don't seem to be getting any closer.
Well, now that the turn has been negotiated, the defending champ Mike McLeod says the top runners will really start watching for each other to falter.
Checking the other athletes, looking to see how they feel, see if the weather's affecting them, if it's hot. Seeing how you feel, that's the most important part. And just trying to relax, to make sure no one's taking a break. If someone starts to pick it up, get in there, hang in.
Well, as we say, the individual strategy starting to come into play, and there you can see the leaders as they come down Bayshore Boulevard. Mike McLeod is number 1, the man you just heard from there, and very relaxed, very comfortable. It looks like he's got a pace going that he's very, very happy with. Gomez looks like he is moving up in there, and of course Marcus Luis Barreto, who has been leading this race for a while now, it looks like he's pushing a little bit. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens as we continue with our live Channel 8 coverage of the 8th annual Gasparilla Distance Classic.
The Gasparilla Distance Classic is recognized in running circles as one of this country's finest 10K races. Royal Buick is proud to be the official car dealer by providing courtesy cars for many world-class runners that will be here. On Monday, these cars will be returned and put on sale to the general public. All carry full new car warranty, and most have less than 500 miles. Don't miss this chance to own an 85 Buick for hundreds less. This is a great time to buy an 85 Royal Buick. Royal Buick, across from the stadium, Tampa.
Getaway. Get aboard the Bahamas Express.
Welcome to your Bahamas.
Hello.
Hello. Bahamas.
Hi.
It's better on Bahamas Air because we don't just fly there, we live there. 3 days, 2 nights in Nassau from $159, including airfare.
First came the local barbershops and beauty salons. Good price. But the cut. Then came the stylists. Oh, sure, they gave you a good cut. But the price. Well, now there's First Choice Haircutters. Total family hair care.
Meet 'em all.
Where you get a really good cut at a really good price.
We give you just what you want, so make your choice. First Choice Haircutters.
Get the most out of your hard-earned dollars by saving on the quality products you'll find in the Dollar Dazzlers circular from True Value Hardware stores. For just $3, you can get this Master Electrician automatic closet light or a Taylor indoor thermometer with humidity gauge. This Acro Welcome doormat is made of durable rubber, and a Rubbermaid Space Maker shelf is also just $3 in the Dollar Dazzler circular from participating True Value Hardware stores and home centers. Coverage of today's run is brought to you by Royal Buick, official car dealer of the Gasparilla Distance Classic, and by Bahamas. It's better in the Bahamas, where you never run out of things to do unless you want to.
Look at that shot, and you'll get the feeling of the 8th annual Gasparilla Distance Classic, and why it is one of the most beautiful road races in the world for sure. They're heading down Bayshore Boulevard on the return to downtown Tampa. The finish, of course, behind the Curtis Hickson Convention Center. We got word that the women racers have now gone into the turnaround, and Greta Waits and Wendy Sly, as one might expect, are the two leaders, and they are running together. Let's go back out onto the course now to the front of the pack and Gail Sarens.
Boy, are we at the front of the pack. We are right next to the front of the pack at this time. And we have a new leader who is really emerging here. Peter Denons, number 38, is at the front of the pack right now, falling in right behind him. Number 21, Ivan Huff. So this race is taking a new shape. You still see Gomez, number 22, right behind him. Mike McLeod, a silver medalist in the 10,000 meters. At the 5-mile mark, they ran a 4:34 mile, which is faster than they did at world record pace. Their time overall for 5 miles, 22:48. That's 31 seconds slower, however, than a world record pace. One thing interesting to note here, though, John, is that we thought they'd be running right into the wind coming back. Quite frankly, we look like we have a crosswind here.
It's hard to tell from our position, but they are fighting the wind somewhat. You notice how they got into a single file as they turned, and they're still looking around a little bit. Peter Denons is a steeplechase runner. He's doing the work right now, followed by Ivan Huff. Mike McLeod is still looking very, very good. He's in, I think, 3rd or 4th position. Simeon Keegan, number 14, is there, and Julian Golder, number 6. The two Americans, well, there's 3 Americans actually. Ivan Huff is in 2nd, and then you can barely see Mark Cook, number 5 there. He's still in the pack, and he's still in the race, so he's looking very well. And Tom Wayne-Saki is still in.
As you mentioned, though, they are sort of taking on that drafting effect right now, one to break this wind, I'm sure. But, but the pace is not at a world record pace as we had hoped and as we had perhaps expected, and that is at the 5-mile mark. Dick, back to you.
Thank you very much, Gail. And as you were talking about the wind, we could hear it across the microphone there, in and out, and that'll give an indication to some of the fans at home as to the conditions that are out on the course. Nearly 2/3 through the race at this point. The pace will depend on whether the runners set too fast a pace in the early going. Let's hear from Mike McLeod.
If it's that quick, you know, it's difficult to break. So really, it's a matter of trying to be relaxed, settle in with the pack, and carry on to about 8-9 miles. See how you feel then.
There you see the men runners out in front. Mike McLeod is runner number 1, and he is now moved up to even, it appears, for 2nd place. We have the one runner kind of with the job of breaking the wind, and a lot of people say, wait a minute, drafting, they do that in NASCAR, but they do it in running.
Oh, absolutely. It's a very vital part of the strategy. The runners may take turns alternating, setting the pace. I see both McLeod and Keegan are sort of sitting back and letting Danons do the work right now. One other thing which will be providing these runners with a little bit of a lift is the front runners are coming back, and as you and they are passing by the middle of the Packers who are still outward bound on Bayshore Boulevard, and they're being able to take in the cheers and everything, and it's got to be uplifting for both the middle of the Packers who see the world-class runners up close and the world-class runners who are coming back.
You kind of look at that group out in front, though, Phil, and you wonder if ever they were in that middle of the pack on the other side, you know, waving at some of their heroes going through there. But for the amateur runners, the novices, those who get out and run a couple of miles a week and enjoy it, and now are enjoying a Gasparilla Distance Classic, it is a big thrill to see those world-class runners out there, and it is a thrill to root them on to victory, and they are just proud to be part of a race that involves such fine names. Julian Goder, number 6 now, appears to have moved up quite a bit.
And again, Dick, this just reinforces what we're saying. The runners are taking turns taking the lead, maybe trying slight surges out there. I find it very interesting that Simeon Keegan is hanging right behind Mike McLeod.
All right, let's go back out onto the course now to Gail Sarins.
All right, Dick, the pace has picked up just a little bit over what it was last year. 4:39 for the 6th mile. 27:28 is our time now. 26:59 is the world record pace. Something interesting is going on here between Adrian Leak and between Simeon Keegan. You see them, there's quite a bit of distance between them right now, but only a moment ago the two of them were side by side and really going at it with elbows at each other. John, what was going on?
Well, I think what's happening, Gail, is everyone's trying to draft, and it's bunched, it's tightly bunched, and Leak just kind of bumped into Keegan, and Keegan threw an elbow, you know, back and forth. But some of that goes on because they are tightly bunched. Look at Ivan Huff, if you can see him there, number 21 in the blue. He's running very easy right now. Julian Goder, a couple minutes ago, just threw in a surge and took the lead, but he's working very hard. Look at his arms. He seems to be tense, whereas Mike McLeod is just, you can see him looking around, looking back. He's very relaxed, very comfortably, number 1 there.
Simeon Keegan seems to be struggling just a little bit at this point. He has dropped off the pace.
Yeah, he has dropped off quite substantially, and he doesn't look good at all. He's running very rough. So
Simeon Keegan, number 14, if you're watching, he has dropped off the pace. We have approximately 8 runners in this lead pack, and we're now about 6.5 miles through the race. And we will be back with more from the Gasparilla Distance Classic. Don't go away.
Where else can you find 4% new car financing and unbelievable used car prices? Only at Big John Norton Ford.
I guess we must be selling a car an average of every 20 minutes here at Big John Norton Ford. It really makes people happy to know they're getting a great deal on a car they're really going to enjoy. Hey, we must be doing something right.
Profit is no object. We're here to sell cars now. Where? Only at Big John Norton Ford, 6202 East Hillsborough Avenue, Tampa. Why? Because in Florida, Big John Norton is Ford.
You'll find a variety of quality True Test paints to meet your needs and budget during President's Day paint values at True Value hardware stores. Make painting easy with the new line of Easy Care, like latex flat finish for the living room and bedrooms, just $9.98 a gallon. Use latex semi-gloss for bath and kitchen areas. It's only $12.98 a gallon. And choose Easy Care latex flat enamel for kids' rooms and hallways. Also just $12.98 a gallon at participating True Value hardware stores.
If you're in the market for Michelin tires, I want to talk to you. There's no question Michelin makes an excellent tire, but you have to decide where to buy them. Here are 4 reasons why you should buy Michelins at Tire Kingdom. Tire Kingdom has one of the largest inventories of Michelin tires in Florida. Tire Kingdom is one of Florida's largest Michelin dealers. Tire Kingdom offers outstanding car care service, so when we work on your car, you know it's done right. And the best part, Tire Kingdom sells Michelins for less than anybody.
If you're one of the many people who'll soon be leaving Florida for a while, why not sign up for General Telephone Seasonal Service? For a small monthly charge, your phones are turned off but not disconnected. While you're away, you keep your same number and directory listing. And when you return, there's no reconnect charge. Best of all, your phones will be back working the moment you walk in the door.
The Gasparilla Distance Classic is brought to you in part by John Norton Ford. In Florida, Big John Norton is Ford. And by True Value Hardware. The more you've got to do, the more you need True Value Hardware stores. We've got what it takes.
Well, American Mark Kerp has now taken the lead, and he will do some of the work for these runners as they try to break the wind and draft off of him, coming down Bayshore Boulevard, heading to the finish line, and this the 8th annual Gasparilla Distance Classic. Let's go to the front of the pack, and Gail Sarin.
All right, 4:41 for the 7th mile. They're at 32:09, well off the pace once again, about a plus 22 at this point. As you say, Mark Kerp is leading the pack at this point, and Peter Denons is still there with a smooth race going. Tom Wysocki we're seeing making a move. Americans moving to the front of this pack. It's turning into a very impressive race for these American runners.
It is. It's Mark Kerp just threw in a surge and took the lead, and Tom Wysocki's looking very well. That's number 16. Mark Kerp's number 5. Peter, let's see who else is in there. Mike McLeod, number 1, still looking very comfortably. Adrian Leak is still there, and Julian Goder, who was doing a lot of the work before, is still hanging on. So we've narrowed it down now. These are the contenders, and it's going to come down to a sprint. I think we're going to see a very exciting finish, Gail.
We almost have to think something is seriously wrong with Simeon Keegan. He is definitely struggling very, very far behind the pack. It looks as though some injury or something has occurred here. You can't imagine any other reason he wouldn't be up here with these guys.
Well, he looked rough for a while there, and he's dropped considerably back, so he's out of the race. So these people are going to sprint to the finish, and it's going to be very exciting here.
All right, we've gone through 7 miles. With that, Dick, we send it back to you.
Thank you very much, Gail, and we continue with our coverage. There you see that great helicopter shot, and it really gives you the division all the way through the pack there, the big pack of the novice runners and some of the better runners from the local area who just don't run these races normally, and, of course, the world-class runners way out in front. And the cheering that you're hearing in the background at the start-finish line, the wheelchair racers are just now coming in. We are waiting for the official word because George Murray was leading by about 1 wheel. He was really close on there. Looked like a tie when they went across the line. We'll have to see the official finish on that.
That's right, and of course George is going for victory number 8.
Boy, wouldn't that be something if he was able to get that. That is the only class of runners where we have had one champion all the way through. Well, as we come down to just a mile or so to go, Mike McLeod says all the lead runners will keep a very close eye on each other.
Looking at each other, making sure no one steals a few yards on you, be at the front. If someone does make a break, you've just got to try and hopefully cover it. Keep going till about 9, and once you get through 9 mile, it's every man for himself to that finish, because it isn't very far after that.
And there you see Mike McLeod, and Phil, I have to tell you, I think we could put the microphone on him and get that same interview at this point. He looks totally relaxed. I look at the other runners around him, and there you see him, number 1, Mike McLeod. He just looks like he is just out for a little jog in the afternoon, and the other runners appear to be working so much harder.
Well, that's true. McLeod does look very easy right now. Some of it may be just differences in running form. Some runners run with a little bit more arm work. But this is just so reminiscent of last year's race. And, of course, Mark Kerp and Mike McLeod were both in that sprint finish last year. And, of course, they're right in the thick of it. But here we had 7 runners last year. We've got 7 runners this year. We're getting into the later stages, and I'm certainly looking forward to a stretch drive as exciting as last year.
I have to think that at this point, Kerp and McLeod and all the other runners that especially were involved last year that are now in that lead pack are all thinking, when is the next guy going to break out there? When is that kick going to come? And there's got to be in each mind a strategy as to a point where they could fake out the other runners and get enough time ahead of them to hold on to it.
Yeah, it's very important, again, as we get further and further in the race, that all those runners maintain contact with one another. But another thought I wanted to add, too, is that this really is an excellent showing by the Americans. Right now in that pack, we have Mark Kerp and Ivan Huff and Tom Wysocki. And
right now we're looking at some of the women runners. There's Wendy Sly in there, and we're trying to figure out if that's Greta Vates up right with her. They were running through the turnaround together, but you can see your women leaders as they also head toward the finish line down Bayshore Boulevard and, of course, back on Ashley Street, and then they will come behind Curtis Hickson Convention Center.
And, boy, what a great rivalry, Gasparilla rivalry that is between Greta and Wendy. Greta leads it 2 victories to 1, and I know there's nothing Wendy would rather do than even the score.
Oh, boy, and last year, if you'll remember, we almost missed the finish on the women's race because Wendy was off the pace enough that Greta had a tremendous 2 or 3 block lead, and all of a sudden she was coming across the line. Let's go back out onto the course now to the leader of the pack, and Gail Sarens. Well, we're apparently having a little bit of transmission problem. We'll try to keep in touch with Gail, but there you can see the unofficial time as we show it to you under the live sign on Channel 8. The runners now coming down underneath the Davis Island Bridge, and they will be coming back across the Platte Street Bridge very soon, and that is really, I would imagine at that point, it is going to be anybody's guess among those front runners as to who's going to kick first.
Oh, that's right. They've got about 5 minutes of running to go right now, and so I'm sure they're all taking a final assessment of their bodies, trying to discover just how much they have left, where they might want to make their move. When they do come back into town, it is a turning, twisting part of the course, and so it's going to be even more important to maintain contact as they go through the turns. You might have 1 or 2 people trying an early surge here just to test the field, but it certainly looks like it's going to be a group finish once again.
Dick Crippen along with Phil Stewart, the associate editor of Running Times, as we present the 8th annual Gasparilla Distance Classic live here on Channel 8, and we're very proud to be a part of this fine effort in the Bay Area, and we must commend again the Gasparilla Distance Classic Committee for an outstanding presentation again this year. Everybody learns every year and makes it that much better.
And of course down here at the finish line, there's a crowd gathering. The sun is bright. The runners are just a couple of minutes away. It's actually warming up here, and the spectators are anticipating this mass finish, which we expect to be happening very shortly.
And we will share that with them as we continue our live Channel 8 coverage of the 8th annual Gasparilla Distance Classic. We'll be back in a moment.
Wendy Sly, winner of the 1983 Gasparilla Distance Classic, Olympic silver medalist, and member of the Brooks racing team.
You train long and hard to win Gasparilla. Maybe you even set a record, but then again, it might just be broken next year. Because at Gasparilla, records come and records go. There's just something about this place. Maybe it's the great weather, the fast flat course, or the quality of the field. Whatever it is, one thing is certain. We all come here to break the record.
Brooks, high performance from the ground up.
We're back live, and there you can see the front runners as they come down. The press truck has already moved up Ashley Street, so the runners are just behind them now, moving into the downtown area of Tampa. Dick Crippen along with Phil Stewart, the associate editor of Running Times. They've already gone across the bridge, and we're going to see the women runners coming in a matter of minutes behind them. We'll check the front of the pack and see if we can possibly pick out some of the lead runners for you to determine how they are going to kick, because this is strategy, pure and simple, and I think once you hit the downtown area, you can forget about who's around you or what's happening. It's go for it and hope you got enough left.
That's right, and you have to look for who the speedsters are in this pack. Of course, Mike McLeod was able to pull it off last year. Peter Danings, the steeplechaser, I believe is still right in that pack of 7. They've got to be some of the faster runners. We'll be looking to see what they can do at the finish line. Still, again, it almost looks like it could be a rerun of last year. As they're heading down, the crowd now very anticipating the finish. We're less than 2 minutes from the finish of the race. The crowd knows that there's going to be a crowd coming around the finish altogether. It looks like the 7 are still very much all staying very knotted. It looks like it's going to come down to a stretch drive to the tape.
All right, they're just about to round the corner, and they will be doing so in just a moment. I noticed also Tom Wysocki, number 16, had moved up into the pack there also. If Keegan is going to make any sort of a drive at all, and we were saying earlier he was way off the pace, and it's doubtful that he'll be able to even get in on that pack. But certainly McLeod is going to be one to watch. He has looked so relaxed through this entire race, and we can see the police car passing the turn down there now, which means the truck is right behind him. So we should see our lead runners coming around the turn in just a moment. It looks like Mike McLeod is trying to hold out in the front position. Let's see if he's able to do it.
And let's not forget that Mike McLeod has done it before. He's been here before. He knows what it feels like. He's coming around. And it looks like Mike McLeod is going to be a repeat performance. He's opened up about 10
coming down to the line.
He's working his arms hard, driving towards that finish line. He's going to become the first 2-time male champion of Gasparilla. Coming in, and it looks hard to pick up these numbers, but I see all 6 of them heading right towards the finish line, but it is going to be Mike McLeod who's going to win this race for the second time and become the first male runner to do so.
Unbelievable, but Mike McLeod divided that pack. He knew exactly where he wanted to kick as he came around the turn. He had already taken a decisive lead on the rest of the pack. Wysocki dropped off very fast. Here come your winnermen, and look at this race. Greta Bates and Wendy Sly are side by side, and this year there is no question it is going to be a race to the finish. They are coming around the turn now. We'll see what happens. The crowd is starting to react. In just a moment, they will see the women runners coming out of the turn. There you can see Bayshore Boulevard right now. Look at them go down there side by side. And again, if you remember a couple of years ago when Wendy Sly won this race, Phil, it was right at about this point that Wendy started her kick to get past Greta, and we'll see if she's able to do that this year.
This is really very, very exciting. It seems to me it's very late in the race to have the two right together. They're battling it out. They've been here before. Both of them are winners. Both of them have good leg speed at the end of the race, and it's just going to be a tremendous battle right to the finish. Again, Greta did have a little bit of trouble last week in Miami at 10K. It was very hot, and she cramped up. Wendy may be a little bit fresher for the race. She did not race tough competition last week, and so we'll see what type of effect that has as they approach the finish line.
And remember also that Wendy Sly has been living in the area for a little over a month now, and she has been training on the course on Bayshore Boulevard, and I don't know if that would give her an advantage at this point or not, because psychologically Greta will be well aware at this point of her finish in the Orange Bowl, and she will remember what happened, and I don't know, all the aches and pains and all that seem to pass. The psychology overrides it all for a finish like this, especially when she looks right beside her and she sees none other than Wendy Sly. So this is going to be the finish to watch. We had said earlier in the race that the women's race would be probably the premier event, as this particular one is fought out again here in Gasparilla. Greta Waits taking the win 4 years ago. Then it was Wendy Sly, and then, of course, last year it was Greta Bates again. And who will it be this year? They should be coming in momentarily.
And of course, with the two of them out there going head-to-head, we could be looking for a very, very fast time because they're obviously pushing each other. And so we'll be looking to see if they can get under Greta's world record time of 47:52, which would get them to the finish line just about 2 minutes from right now.
All right, and so we should be able to pick them up momentarily. Meanwhile, we look at the finish of some of the other men runners as they continue to come in, and there will be a lot of more finishes yet to go here behind the Curtis Hickson Convention Center in downtown Tampa, Florida, on what has to be described as just a gorgeous day for this Gasparilla Distance Classic. A little bit cool when things started off this morning, which, although it did not play an advantage to the spectators, perhaps could have played an advantage to the runners because it certainly got them going a little bit faster. Here are the women now as they come through the downtown area. Let's see if we can pick them up. These are the women leaders in this pack here, we are told, and we are trying right now to see if we can pick up Greta Waits or Wendy Sly. Thus far, we have not seen them come across the screen there, but here comes Greta. This is Greta Bates. She is seated number 1, and Wendy Sly is not with her at this point. Now, let's see what happens. Greta has kind of a smile on her face. I wonder if she knows already that she has kicked hard enough, but she continues to go very, very hard. Let's see if, as the camera stays there for a moment, if we can pick up Wendy Sly. It appears that Greta has again really outkicked Wendy, and
she's really made a tremendous move here, and it could be, we can now see Wendy in the picture, but it could be that Greta knows that over 3,000 meters, Wendy Sly is a little bit faster than she is, and so Greta probably felt that she had to make her move early, get that distance, and not let this come down to a sprint down this last straightaway.
Well, kind of like Mike McLeod as he hit that point in the race. Greta Bates now seems very, very confident, very comfortable with herself. As we said, she had kind of a little smile on there as she went by at one point, and it was as though somebody had yelled something to her and assured her the fact that Wendy was well off the pace at this point. So perhaps Greta now is just really working on that total mental kick. In other words, at this point, nothing will stop her. She will continue on and take that win. So let's see if, in fact, that will happen, because you can never count out Wendy Sly. She is a shorter distance runner normally, but that also would give her an advantage if she can, in fact, pick it up. Greta Bates has now made the turn. There's Greta Bates as she comes down the final stretch for the Gasparilla Distance Classic.
And she certainly looks good. She's pumping those arms. She's kicking in. She now knows that she pretty much has this race at hand. The crowd is spurring her on. She's running hard.
They do love to see Greta win. And as she comes across the finish line, Phil, again, we have back-to-back winners. The champion, Greta Bates, who has come in for the win, and Wendy Sly just about 25 seconds maybe behind her, if that much.
Yeah, 15 or 20 seconds behind. It looked to me about 35 or 40 yards behind. So that rivalry, we have another chapter closed in that rivalry, and once again, Greta has come out on top, but boy, they sure provide the drama year after year out there just going at each other, pushing each other to faster and faster time.
I think that even when you look at somebody like Wendy Sly and you say, gee, it's really a shame she won, I think when you lose to somebody like Greta Waite, you have to say that she came prepared, she came ready, she is one of the best. And either way, I think whoever won that particular race, whether it was Wendy or Greta, I think the other can look at it and say they were beaten by the best. And in this particular case, Greta Waite had all the factors going for her. She knew exactly what her strategy was. She stuck to it, much as Mike McLeod obviously did. We kept commenting. I guess I was a little bit scared out there, Phil, for a moment. We were saying so much about Mike McLeod and how relaxed he was, but he was. That I was thinking, what happens if he's so relaxed he doesn't win it? But that was not the case. He was relaxed indeed with intent.
And actually now we have some of the official results here. Second place was the Danish steeplechaser Peter Danens, and as it was borne out that the fastest runners, the ones who we had cited, had the best leg speed. Indeed, when it came down to the sprint, that was McLeod and Danens, and they were the ones who finished 1-2. In third place was Julian Goder. In fourth place, and I have to think this is a surprise, Tom Wysocki, top American in fourth place, followed by Ivan Huff and Mark Kerp. So you have Americans running 4, 5, and 6, and Adrian Leake rounding out that pack in 7th place.
And as we said early on, you had leaders like Marcus Lewis Barreto, and you say, what happened to him? Well, he fell off the pace. Simeon Keegan looked like he was going to be up in there. There may be a story. There you see Greta Waite, incidentally, at the finish, accepting the congratulations down there, and again, a very deserved winner. Greta Waite, the women's champion for this, the 1985 version. So Greta now with back-to-back wins, which I know will make her feel that much better, and she continues to be a hard trainer, a world-class runner in every sense of the word. And we might say also about some of these runners that you still see coming off of Bayshore into downtown Tampa and such. These may be, in many cases, local runners, college runners from around the country. Some of the other folks who traveled from around the country, still extremely good times.
That's right, and of course one who we're going to be looking for is Roger Letchworth, who's one of the outstanding high school runners in the country, and he's going after an American record for his age.
And the winner of the men's race was none other than Mr. Mike McLeod, and Tony Edwards is standing by with him now. Tony?
I'm here with Mike McLeod, the first two-time winner of the Gasparilla Distance Classic. Mike, earlier in the week, you said you had a sore ankle. What happened out there?
Actually, it was a sore hip.
Sore hip, okay.
It was a combination of that. It was the high temperatures last weekend and a very hard race by this time of year because we normally don't run that quick. After a couple of days, it's cleared up. I did a decent track session on Wednesday, and today there was a little niggle on the way around. That's why I just sat and did as little work as possible and just tried to get them by surprise at the finish.
Did you kind of lullaby these guys into a bit of false security by the pace not being as fast as one might expect?
It was fairly quick early on. We went through 10K in 28:30, which is fairly brisk, and 14:10 for 5,000 meters. But I had mentioned to one of the lads that I'd be going out from the gun to run well. If my hip was all right, I would have done that. But I just sat back and played around in the pack, and they probably thought there was something wrong.
Was there anyone that you were concerned with?
Not really. I've run against most of the guys a few times, so I know the strength of the guys at the finish. I've just got about the strongest kick among them, so I was quite happy to sit back and take them by surprise just before the bend.
Okay, quickly, where in the race did you figure this race belongs to me?
Well, when I crossed the line. You have to be careful.
Okay, Mike, congratulations. Back to you, Dick.
Thank you very much, Tony. I got to say, he looks like he was out on the course still. This man does not get uptight about the whole thing. He stays very relaxed. He stays very even. whether he's running or talking.
He looked very, very easy the whole way through. Just looked relaxed and was laying back and did what he had to do at the end.
Proof positive. Look at his recovery time.
That's right. He's ready for more.
Ready for more to go back out and run another 15K. He will not do that. However, we will continue with our live coverage of the 8th Annual Gasparilla Distance Classic from downtown Tampa, live on Channel 8.
Get cash and carried away for the day.
Save $2.50 at the Dark Continent with free coupons from Cash and Carry.
Get cash and carried away.
$2.50 off for a limited time with coupons from Cash and Carry.
Get carried away at Busch Gardens.
So come in for your coupons and save at the Dark Continent.
Get carried away. Get cash and carried away.
People just keep on coming in here to Big John Norton Ford. It's simple. Nobody in Tampa Bay can offer the great deals on new and used Ford cars and trucks that we do. 4% new car financing and the best selection.
You know, we sold 6 cars in 1 hour. That means a happy customer every 10 minutes. We must be doing something right.
Profit is no object. We're here to sell cars now. Where? Only at Big John Norton Ford, 6202 East Hillsborough Avenue, Tampa. Why? Because in Florida, Big John Norton is Ford.
Get away. Get aboard the Bahamas Express.
Welcome to your Bahamas.
Hello.
Hello.
Bahamas.
Hi.
It's better on Bahamas Air because we don't just fly there, we live there. 3 days, 2 nights in Nassau from $159 including airfare.
We're back live at the Gasparilla Distance Classic, the 8th Annual Gasparilla Distance Classic. We just talked to Mike McLeod. Tony Edwards had him for an interview. Mike, of course, a back-to-back winner. Gail Sarens is now standing by with another back-to-back winner, the winner of the women's division, Greta Vates.
Yeah, Greta is here, and Greta, terrific race. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now, halfway through this race, did you? What were you thinking about? Because you were not the leader.
No, when we turned around, the Wendy was 17 seconds ahead of me, and I thought, well, I don't think I can catch this because 17 seconds running at that speed was as we did. It's very hard to catch up. I didn't think that I could catch her, but I just told myself to try to keep on running at the same pace and run relaxed. And after a couple of miles, I saw that I was catching in on her, and then I thought that maybe I can do it.
Was it a conservative race for you?
Yes, I had last week race in my mind, and because in Miami last Saturday I started out too fast and almost collapsed in the end, so I didn't want the same thing to happen today, so I decided not to go out too fast in the beginning. It's so easy to get carried away and run too fast.
How much of a factor was the wind out there? It looked heavy.
Well, of course you had the tailwind going out, and but some part of the course going back it was hard because some part of the course the wind is stronger than others, and some parts I didn't have anybody to hide behind, so
that's where it really gets rough. Now, you told me before the race, you said, no, this really isn't just a challenge match between Wendy and I, but somehow it seems to keep developing into that. Did she really push you there at the end? Did you want this victory badly?
Of course, when you are there, we are very good friends, but on the course we are competitors, and both of us really wanted to win this race. So when I saw that I was right behind Wendy, I thought that maybe I can beat her, and I just put in my last surge, and she didn't follow, so then I knew that the victory was mine.
Greta, congratulations on a terrific race. They love you here in Tampa Bay.
Well, I love being here too, so it's very nice, and I look forward to coming back next year.
Everyone looks forward to having you back again. Congratulations on a great race. Dick, back to you.
What a very classy lady she is. And again, saluting Wendy Sly. I'm amazed to hear that she said 17-second difference. Number one, that she would even know that. But we'll talk more a little bit about the women's finish. Let's first go to the finish of the wheelchair race, which happened a little bit earlier while we were still out on the course. You're going to see the St. Petersburg entry, George Murray, but he is really being challenged at the finish line here. George Murray in that ultra-modern light chair. As you can see, as they came around there, George is the one that grabs up on the front handlebars. He does not have to steer the chair. That's one of the advantages that he had in there. George Murray now on the right of your screen, taking over the center position, but as they came in from the final turn. All of a sudden, George was in the back, and it was quite a finish. As you can see, we will try to get the actual official results of this finish and make sure that we have it correct, because it was so tight coming down to the finish line.
Right there.
There he is, right there, and there is the wheelchair winner. Let's go down to Tony Edwards for an interview.
Thank you, Dick. You may have never seen this young man before. This is his first Gasparilla. Now, his name is John Rodolph. He is from Albuquerque, New Mexico. He has dethroned George Murray. He had won 7 straight, and you came in here. Did you know about his reputation?
Yes, I did. I raced against George a lot during the other races of the season, and he's tough. And I knew about a 7-year streak, and I was out here to break it. You know, he's great, and I have the honor of doing it. The first guy to do it. I'm excited.
Okay, what was the strategy? How'd you beat George?
The hill at the very end, off of Bayshore. That's the time of it. Get down the hill fast, the first, around the turn, and just hold that sprint. That's what I was trying to do.
Okay. Were you nervous at all during the race?
No, just antsy. You know, I knew I was ready. I felt good. And I didn't know I was going to go, but I thought it made me do the bridge, so I just waited for the bridge.
All right. You can come back to Tampa and see us again?
I hope so, yeah.
Okay. You're a champion. Thank you very much. Now, we'll be back right after this message.
When you're in the mood for a haircut, ever worry about the mood your stylist might be in? Why surrender to somebody else's mood? At First Choice Hair Cutters, it's what you want that counts.
13 convenient locations.
Why should small home gadgets carry big price tags? At True Value Hardware stores, $2 will buy the security of a Brainerd door viewer or TrueGuard padlock. For fix-up projects, choose from Exo Rust Spray Enamel, Tri-Flow Lubricant, or Oops Paint Remover. And tools like the Master Mechanic Level or an Imperial Pocket Knife. And get a Springfield thermometer, a Selfic shower organizer, or 3 hanging baskets for just $2 at participating True Value Hardware stores and home centers.
The Gasparilla Distance Classic is recognized in running circles as one of this country's finest 10K races. Royal Buick is proud to be the official car dealer by providing courtesy cars for many world-class runners that will be here. On Monday, these cars will be returned and put on sale to the general public. All carry full new car warranty, and most have less than 500 miles. Don't miss this chance to own an 85 Buick for hundreds less. This is a great time to buy an 85 Royal Buick. Royal Buick, across from the stadium, Tampa.
Select quality beef from Cash and Carry. The flavor? Simply phenomenal.
Well, there you see downtown Tampa on a beautiful Saturday morning. The 8th annual Gasparilla Distance Classic still finishing up, and there are a lot of finishes. As you can see, those folks just coming back into downtown Tampa right now. There you see some of your neighbors as they are out running. They got up a lot earlier than you this morning, those of you watching. And here is a gentleman who is... well, let's say it does hurt sometimes after the race is all over. And I suppose any time you come in second place, it hurts a little bit, too. And Wendy Sly now has come in second place 2 years running. Gail Sarins is with Wendy in the finish area. Gail?
Wendy, as she's putting her shoe back on here, had something in her shoe. Wendy, a little disappointed and a little angry, aren't you?
Yes, to run that fast and end up finishing second was a big disappointment, really. I'm in the best shape of my life, and I probably ran the race of my life, and I just lost a bit of concentration before the bridge. And she got, I don't know, a good 10 seconds on me in no time, and coming back over the bridge, I was touching her again, but it was too late. I'm disappointed.
That's where the frustration comes in the fact that you led most of this race, 17 seconds, I believe, at the turning point.
Yeah, I felt good the whole way, I really did, and just after the turning point, I somehow got left on my own. There was no one anywhere near me, in front or behind, and it was very hard to concentrate, and I think I lost those 17 seconds at that point.
Now, you said that with Greta, you got too far behind her, enough that you just couldn't catch up. What goes through one's mind when they realize at the instant that has happened, that there's too much ground to gain?
It's really frustrating because I was really running hard the last couple of thousand meters, and I almost thought she looked like she was tiring, and I thought, God, you know, I could get her here, but I just couldn't. I was getting nearer and nearer, and then it came to Curd Sixon Hall, and I knew there was no way then.
But you are coming back to the Gasparilla, aren't you, Wendy?
Oh, I expect so, yeah. I seem to keep coming back year after year to bang my head against the wall.
We look forward to seeing you here again next year. Sorry about the frustration today, but you still ran a terrific race.
Well,
One you should be proud of.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wendy Sly, our second-place finisher in the women's event today.
Thank you, Gail. And again, we say Wendy Sly, just a delight, an absolute delight. She's a terrific young lady. She has been so cooperative with interviews and working with the press and everybody else. There you see some more of your friends and neighbors as they finish up. We're getting down to the pack now where the runners who put in a couple of miles a week, who are out here for the experience and the fun of running a Gasparilla Distance Classic, are coming across that finish line and getting the thrill of finishing where the world-class runners have finished ahead of them. Again, a review for you. John Rodoff won the wheelchair division, upsetting George Murray. Greta Vates wins over Wendy Sly in the women's division, and Mike McLeod takes, again, a pack win, if you will, in the men's division. We'll be back to continue with our coverage of the 8th annual Gasparilla Distance Classic live on Channel 8 in just a few moments.
If you're one of the many people who'll soon be leaving Florida for a while, why not sign up for General Telephone Seasonal Service? For a small monthly charge, your phones are turned off but not disconnected. While you're away, you keep your same number and directory listing. And when you return, there's no reconnect charge. Best of all, your phones will be back working the moment you walk in the door.
When I started Tire Kingdom over a decade ago, I had one basic idea: to sell you quality tires for less than anybody else. Thanks to you, we've become Florida's largest tire dealer. And our philosophy hasn't changed one bit. We offer the best selection of brands, types, and styles available anywhere. And of course, always at the lowest prices. And our service is so outstanding, I guarantee it. Today, as always, you're going to like doing business with Tire Kingdom. We're going to make sure.
Select quality beef from Cash and Carry. The flavor? Simply phenomenal.
It's working, Tampa Bay. At Big John Norton Ford, we're selling more cars than ever before. We're selling so many new Ford cars and trucks that we're stockpiled with great used car trade-ins. Big John said move them, so we are. We're offering unheard of prices. How can we do it? Profit is no object. Our job is to sell cars now. Where else can you find 4% new car financing and unbelievable used car prices? Only at Big John Norton Ford, 6202 East Hillsborough Avenue, Tampa. Why? Because in Florida, Big John Norton is Ford.
Well, Phil Stewart and I stand down at the finish line and watch these fans come across. I got a little tear in the eye there, Phil, for a moment. What a dream come true for these fans.
That's right. This is the crowning moment. All those miles and hours put in training, and I think with the cooler weather today, that there's probably a lot of people running the fastest times of their lives and coming back in here into this finish line area bathed in warm sunlight. It's just got to feel great.
Yes, and we emphasize that because this particular position was not so warm just a little while ago. Talking about fast times and great races, we talked about Wendy Sly and Greta Vates. Greta Vates coming out the winner in that one. Another race that we were told to watch out for, and we certainly did, and that was the Masters race, that over 40 group, if you will. Barry Brown of Gainesville, Florida, up against Patty Murphy from Ireland. So let's go down to the finish line because we have the winner and the runner-up with Tony Edwards.
That's right, Dick. You talk about Masters. These guys are supposed to be 40 years old and over. But here's Barry Brown of Gainesville, who did it in 46:15, I believe. A pretty good time.
Yeah, it's I think about a minute slower than Patty and I were both trying to go. We were trying to break 45 minutes today, but
had a pretty tough headwind the last 4.5 miles. It really slowed us down to about 5:10 pace, which is much too slow for a record.
Did the cold weather get to you?
No, not really. I commute a lot between here and upstate New York, so it's been below zero up there, so this felt like a pretty nice day to run. It was the type of day you could run kind of recklessly, not worry about the heat, but as I said, the wind is very tough. Wind is the runner's worst enemy, and you just can't do much about it.
All right, let's talk to your friend Patty over here. Patty, you finished number 2 in the race behind Barry. Was it a tough race for you?
Yes, it was a very tough race.
Now, you're from Ireland. You come all the way over here to run in this race.
That's right, John.
It's a good race for you.
Yeah, it's very good race.
What made you come to Tampa to run in the Gasparilla?
Well, I'm not on a master just since last November, and in Europe I'm probably one of the best over there, so I decided that having known Barry to be the best in America, I want to come over and try my hand against him.
Okay. How do you like the course?
The course was beautiful, really flat, very nice.
All right, we want to congratulate you guys on your victories today, and Dick, we're going to throw it right back to you guys.
All right, thank you very much, Tony. Phil Stewart along with me, of course, the associate editor of Running Times. I also want to say thanks to John Wellarding, who did a fine job out on the truck spotting those runners for us, Phil. That's not as easy as it looks.
Particularly when there's a big pack of them like there were out there.
I know that now the fans at the finish line are getting their fill as they cheer some of their favorites on home. A lot of running clubs are gathered down here, not only the big running clubs such as the shoe companies and such, but a lot of the local clubs, the Brandon Running Association. We see them over here, and a couple of the other groups, and some of the particular companies in town or corporations that have running groups in here. Channel 8 has one. We haven't seen any of them come across. They went out this morning. They really looked good, you know what I mean? So they didn't finish first, but they were definitely looking good. Let's go back down to the finish line now in Gail Sarins.
That's right. We just want to say our final goodbyes. Always hate to do this because we love this Gasparilla Distance Classic. So, Tony, you'll be back next year.
I definitely will. Hope to see another exciting race.
I hope to see another exciting one. And, John, you're getting ready for the 5K, but we might see you back here in the 15K next year.
Well, I hope so. It's a great race. I really enjoyed coming down, so I got to go get ready for the 5K, so I got to take off here.
Bye, John. Have a great race. It has been a fun morning. We hope you've enjoyed it. Dick, back to you.
Well, thank you very much, Gail, and on behalf of all of the crew that has worked out here and all the fine folks who have done the directing, Kurt Nielsen, we won't mention him. We really have to salute him. Charlie Tuggle, our producer, Chuck Eastler, executive producer. We get down the list that is just really terrific. Pat Wall, who's been sitting out here at the finish line, warm as toast the entire morning. All the crew, we just want to say a very special thanks. Of course, Phil Stewart, again, it's been a pleasure. It gets better and better. On behalf of Phil Stewart, the entire crew, I'm Dick Crippen. Thanks for joining us. Have a good rest of the day. Happy Gasparilla to you.
The 1985 Gasparilla Distance Classic has been brought to you by Brooks Shoes, footwear for racing and for all your athletic needs. Tire Kingdom sells quality tires for less than anybody. Cash and Carry, your basic value store. First Choice Hair Cutters, 13 convenient locations. George Murray, 7-time winner of Gasparilla, 1978 Boston Marathon champ, and member of the Brooks Racing Team.
Gasparilla. Some call it the best race in the country. No surprise there. At Gasparilla, two things are usually certain. great weather, and a field of the best athletes in the country. It always has its share of upsets and record-breaking victories, and something tells me that this year won't be any different.
Brooks, high performance from the ground up.
Get away. Get aboard the Bahamas Express.
Welcome to your Bahamas.
Hello.
Hello.
It's better on Bahamas Air because we don't just fly there, we live there. 3 days, 2 nights in Nassau from $159, including airfare.
The Gasparilla Distance Classic is recognized in running circles as one of this country's finest 10K races. Royal Buick is proud to be the official car dealer by providing courtesy cars for many world-class runners that will be here. On Monday, these cars will be returned and put on sale to the general public. All carry full new car warranty, and most have less than 500 miles. Don't miss this chance to own an 85 Buick for hundreds less. This is a great time to buy an 85 Royal Buick. Royal Buick, across from the stadium, Tampa. Watch us for live coverage of the Gasparilla Parade, Monday. Tonight at 8 for the adventure.
We now join our regularly scheduled program, already in progress.